What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the second part on how to build a simple Android calculator app. In this part, we will be only focusing on how to create the logic of the calculator app. So if you have not watched the first part and if you're curious on how to build the UI of this calculator, please go back and watch the first part. As you can see, we cannot interact with the app because we have not created the logic behind the app in main activity.java, and this is where we will spend most of our time. So before we start coding, if this is your first time here and you want to learn more on how to build mobile applications, web development, and programming in general, please subscribe to this channel and do not forget to click on the bell notification so that you do not miss on anything. So without further ado, let's get started. So first we need to create some private variables for each one of these buttons in the calculator. So we're going to start with creating two variables with a type of edit text. The first one would be for the calculations and the second variable would be for the result. Create your private variable with the type of edit text. We will call it calculation, and the second one we will call it result. And now we need to create two more variables with the type of string. And we will call it current and res. And this is basically a string. Once we have a number, we will store it in this variable and then we will set it to this so that we will show it up here. And same goes for res. This is where we will store the result and we will set it to result edit text variable. And now create 18 more private variables with a type of buttons for each one of these buttons. So private button btn0, btn1 to initialize the calculation variable. And with the help of some helper functions, we can basically find our IDs with a find view by ID function, resources, and then ID. And then we choose the ID that we need, which is the calculation. And do not forget to cast the variable to edit text type. And do the same for result. So we have current equal to empty string and res to empty string as well. So btn0 equal to button and then find by ID and then resources ID dot btn0. And then do the same for button number 1. And once you created all of the private variables and initialize them, create two void functions. And we will call it display1. So to see a result, we can just set current to something, 2 times 3. And then we need to create the second function. And we will set res to 2 times 3 is 6. This would be an example. We will remove it later on. And then result dot set text to res. And you can call the function here. To see what we have done, basically, you just need to run the app. And as you can see now, we are having such a beautiful calculation in the edit text view. And now once you have seen the result of our display1 function, delete the current variable. And you can delete these two functions as well. So in order for us to have an interactive buttons, once we click on these buttons, we need to set on-click listeners functions so that these buttons will be listening all the time once it's pressed, and then the number would appear upward. btn0 and then set on click listeners, and then you try to set a new object, and this is view on click listener. And once you have this, concatenate number 0 to the current variable. And to do this is very easy. So current equal to current, and then concatenate 0 to it. And once you concatenated 0 to the current string, call display one function to test your app one more time. So click on the run app. And if you press 2, nothing will happen. But if you press 0, you will have 0. And then the next 0, it will keep appending zeros to the current string to set on click listener for the other buttons as well. So btn1 dot set on click listener, and then new object view on click listener, and then current display 1 here, and do the same for the rest of the buttons. So once we set on click listener to all of these buttons, test your app one more time. And as you can see, our buttons works perfectly. However, we have not set on click listener on the dot button because we need to have some validations. So if you open the calculator app and if you press the dot button, as you can see, you will have a 0 and then a dot concatenated to the empty string because the string is empty. So this could be the first validation that we would like to do on the dot. And the second validation is when you press 1, any number, and then a dot, it will append a dot to number 1. However, if you press it again, we could not append it unless you press an operator, and then you can have a different number with a dot on it. So to achieve this, we need to create two Boolean variables, and to see this in action, create two Boolean variables. So private Boolean, and then dot inserted with operator inserted, and we need to initialize both of them in the constructor or the main function. So dot inserted equal to false, and we have operator inserted to false as well. And now we need to set on click listener on btn dot set on click listener, new view on click listener. So the first validation would be we need to check if it's empty. So if yes, then append 0 with a dot and set dot inserted variable to true. So the second validation would be if the Boolean is false, and then we need to append only a dot to the current string. So check if dot inserted is false. If it's false, then append a dot to create our if statement. So if the current is empty, and once it's empty, set current to the 0 and dot, and set dot inserted to true. So if dot inserted is false, then concatenate a dot to the current string, and then set dot inserted to true as well. And do not forget to call display one function. To see the result of this, we need to run the app one more time. Once the first current string is empty, and if you press the dot, we would have a 0 with a dot. And if you keep pressing the dot, we would not have multiple dots in the row. And then if you have one, and then we cannot have a dot unless you can have an operator. To create a clear function, we need to set it to public void clear. And then all you need to do is to set current to empty string and then res to empty string as well. And we need to set our Boolean variable to false, and then operator inserted to false as well. So btn ac dot onClick listener, and then new object, then view, call the clear function, and then display 1 and display 2 as well, so that we clear everything out. Run the app one more time. So if you click 12, if you want to clear this out, perfect. However, if you would like to remove the 5, and this is where we need to create a different function for a backspace. So for backspace, you need to create a public void function, and we will call it backspace. If the current is not empty, then remove last character. So if not current is empty, current equal to current itself, and then with the helper function of a substring. So we would like to start from 0 index until the current dot length and then -1. So btn delete, and then onClick listener, and then new object, then view, call the backspace function and display one function. And to test this, we need to run the app one more time. So if you have 15 and we click on clear, it will clear it out. So if you have 155 and you would like to remove the last one, all you need to do is to hit on backspace, just like that. So to work on the operators buttons, we will start with the division button, and then we set onClick listener to new view object onClick listener, just like the other buttons. However, we cannot just append an operator to the current string. We need to do a lot of validations. So the first one would be set dot inserted to false. And then you need to check if the current string is not empty, because we do not want to append an operator to an empty string. To check if current string is not empty, we need to check if the last digit is a dot. Then we need to remove it. So check if the operator, then append operator to current string, and of course call display one function here. So to do this, dot inserted is false. So once we hit an operator button, we need to set dot inserted to false so that we can have a dot after the operator as well. So if it's not current is empty, and now we need to check if the last digit is dot. If yes, then remove the dot. So if current substring, so current dot length -1, and then current dot length, and this is how we get the last digit. And then we need to check if it's equal to a dot, then equals to a dot. So if this is true, then call backspace function, basically remove the dot. If not, just leave it like that. And then we need to check if the operator is set to false. So if operator inserted is false, but we need to set 2 spaces before and after the operator, because we will split the current string by a space later on. And you need to set operator inserted to true so that you will not have multiple operators in a row. Call display 1. Run our app one more time to test our result. So if you have 12 divide by 2, as you can see, we can do this. However, we cannot have more division until we clear it out. So once we clear it out, we can have 12 divide by 3. However, if you do backspaces, it will not delete the operator in one click because we have spaces, and we need to solve this as well. And once we deleted that, we need to set operator inserted to false so that we can press operator one more time. And to solve this, modify backspace function, we need to set few validations to it. Check if the dot is the last character in the string. If yes, then set dot inserted to false so that we can have it again. So this should be fairly easy. And current dot substrings. So current length -1, and then we need to go to current dot length, and then we need to check if it's equal to a dot, just like we did before. And then if yes, all we need to do is set dot inserted to false. And we need to have a different validation for the operator. Delete the operator with the spaces with one click, and then set the operator back to false so that we can have the operator pressed again. So if the operator is detected, and then we need to delete 3 digits or characters from the current string, and we need to set operator inserted to false so that we can press it again. So if current substring is equal to space basically, so substring current dot length -1, and then current dot length equals to space. So the first space, if it's detected, that means we had an operator inserted. So once we have this, delete 3 digits from the end, 1 for the operator and 2 for the spaces. So current equal to current substring. So we will start from 0 until current dot length -3. And then we need to set operator inserted to false so that we can press it again. So set else to. So if this is not true, then just remove the last character. Run the app one more time. So 12 divided by 5. So if you made a mistake, all you need to do is hit backspace, and if you hit it one more time, it should remove the spaces with the operator with one hit. And we can press the division one more time, and this time we will click 3. So in order for us to set on-click listener for the rest of the operators, copy this and then paste it here, and do not forget to change this to multiplication, for example. Change this to asterisk, and just copy this as well. Do it for subtraction, and change this to minus sign, and just paste it one more time. Do it for addition as well. So to see the result, we need to run the app one more time. So 12 times 3, or we can have 4 divided by 2, and yeah. So what's left now is the equal button. So once we hit equal button, it should take this current string and then split it into three parts and then multiply it with this operator, convert it back to string and put it in the result. All right, so we need to set btn equal to onClick listener, and then we need to have a new onClick listener object. Check if the last digit is not an operator. If operator inserted is true, and then we need to check if the last digit is not a space. So current dot substring and then current dot length -1 until current dot length, which is not equal to space. So if this is true, then create an array of string array, and then we will call it tokens, and then we initialize it with current.split function, and here split it with a space. Now we need to have a switch statement to check our operators. So switch token, and then we check for the first index, and then we need to convert it back to character at, and then 0. So if you have a case of plus, and then set our res string to the result of the sum of the two numbers. So keep in mind the numbers are character converted back to a double. So double dot parse double, and then we pass a string to it. So in this case, we have token 0, which is the first number, and then we need to have a plus sign because we are checking for a case of addition, and we need to convert back the second number to a double. So parse to double, and then we need to have token 2. And now we have an error because we are summing two double values and we set it to a string. So we convert it back to a string, type double and then to string, and put this into the function and hit break once this is found. So do the same for the rest of the operators. And change this back to subtraction, and do it for multiplication and division as well. And now once we have this ready, all you need to do is to call display to number, and I think this is it. So let's test our app one more time. So if you have 12 times 2 and hit 24, that's perfect. If you hit clear, and then if we have 5 times 2, okay, this works as well. So 12 divided by 3, 4, and yeah, we have done it. I would like to thank you so much for staying with me and watching this awesome app. And if you really enjoyed this kind of content, please subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you do not miss on anything. So see you guys in the next project.